Hi friends, what a blessing it is to be able to share again today. I have been thinking about this day for some time now as to what is it that I really want to share with you on my final Sunday as your pastor. This is a sad day and I really relate to the Apostle Paul. So in Acts chapter 20, the Apostle Paul is in Troas and he's talking with the disciples and he's about to leave the very next day. And so the Apostle Paul starts sharing all that is in his heart, and he ends up talking all the way until midnight. Well, around midnight, this young man named Eutychus is sitting on the windowsill, and Eutychus falls off the windowsill and he dies tragically. Well, Paul goes down, he lays upon Eutychus, and Eutychus comes back to life. God miraculously brings Eutychus back to life. And then Paul continues to talk all the way until daybreak. He had so much in his heart that he wanted to share. And I feel like I relate to the Apostle Paul to some degree, because as I think about all the things that I want to share with you, it is just so numerous. I'm thinking about lessons that I've learned in my life. I'm thinking about all the joys and the excitement that I've had over this last year. You know, I'm thinking about Camp Eagle last year and how we got to just jump on that massive blob and what that was like, getting to jump on the blob and seeing people just sail through the air, or racing down the water slides, or walking on the trails, and just the conversations that we had, and getting to do the mile-long zip line and seeing some of you overcome your fears. I watched some of you at the top right before this long zip line, just so afraid to go, and then you pushed through and you courageously took a massive step of faith. And I'm so proud of you, and it was such a treasure for me to see you do that. To see some of you this last year start journaling and spending time with Jesus, because you were just hungry to want to get to know what it is that he wanted to say to you, was so incredible for me. Seeing some of you forgive people that were really hard for you to forgive. Some of you going through really challenging circumstances, and instead of running away from God, you ran into him. You ran towards Jesus even when it was hard. I watched some of you start doing this prayer call as of late, and literally every single day for the last 45 plus days, you have been getting together and you've been praying, and God has been answering your prayers. And I have heard and seen your prayers get bolder, your prayers be full of gratitude, your prayers be full of confidence, and I've listened to you change from the first day until now. And that is just incredible to see the transformation that God is doing in your life. It is inspiring to me, and it inspires me to want to pray even more. I've watched you start this encouragement blog to where you're using your gifts to want to go and share the love of Jesus with people that are lonely or anxious or fearful, or people that don't know Jesus. And you're using your gifts to want to write songs and poems and do paintings and watercolor drawings. And it is just incredibly inspiring to see you using your gifts. This is who God made you to be, and you are using your talents to make an internal impact on people's lives. And so I think about these stories. I think about what God is doing in your life. I think about this last year and what God has done in my life, because my wife and I, when we came to Dallas, we came here out of some tough circumstances, and this last year we have been so ministered to by all of you in such incredible ways that we literally feel like we're leaving healed and so ministered and cared for. And so this has been a true year of blessing for us. And so it is a sad day for me, but it is one I've thought about for a long time. And I hope that what I can share with you today, just based on some of my experiences, some of my stories, I really hope they encourage and they bless you. And these are some of the most important things that I have on my heart to share with you, okay? And so I have two big things that I want to share with you today. The first one It comes from a story of mine from when I was playing college hockey for Miami University. So we were in my junior year. I had just become a Christian. March 2009. I had been, for those of you that know my story, I had been a guy that was chasing the things of the world. My worth and my value, my significance, everything was completely tied to what the hockey world thought about me, what my coaches thought about me, what my teammates thought about me, where I stood in the depth chart. Everything about my performance and what other people's thought about me determines my significance. And so for many, many, many years, I just chased the approval of people. I tried to be a guy that had the most impactful and inspiring, encouraging story to get people to like me. And so I did a lot of things that were not right, that were not good, and I just chased after the approval of others. Well, God grabs my life in this crazy way in March 2009. I was in psychology room 125 in March 2009. Someone was telling me all about Jesus, how he died on a cross, and how he rose from the grave, and how we can have this relationship with God and be completely forgiven of our sin and made completely new, washed clean. A guy named Jamie Borchuk was talking about Ephesians 2:8-9, that by grace you've been saved through faith. And it is not a result of your works, it's a gift from God. And so this day, I gave my life to Christ, and about 2 weeks later, we went to the Frozen Four, which is like the Final Four or the March Madness of basketball. It's the Frozen Four for hockey. And so we're in Washington, D.C. My first game I ever got to play as a Christian was in Washington, D.C. It was against Bemidji State, and in the Frozen Four. It was totally amazing. Well, my second game was in the national title game. So we made it to the final game, the last two teams. And so here we are in Washington, D.C., and I wake up the morning of this game. And I'll tell you what, I was so nervous and yet so excited at the same time. I mean, I had so many thoughts going through my head thinking I have to be so good. Like, I have to be faster than I've ever been, stronger than I've ever been. I got to have skill coming out my, like, just out of my ears, doing 360s and putting the puck up underneath the crossbar and just hitting guys through the glass. It's the national championship game. And so I wake up and I'm feeling this excitement. I'm feeling this pressure. And I'm really, really looking forward to this night. And I knew my head was kind of not in the right place, to be completely honest. I knew I wasn't fully ready for this game. And so I went and I talked with an incredible friend named Don. He was a leadership counselor with our team. And Don sits with me for 5 minutes and he says, Steph, he goes, listen, you just need to be you, man. You need to be yourself. Like, you are so talented and gifted. And when everybody on your team uses the gifts that they've been given, and they are themselves, you come together as this incredible team, and you're going to do an incredible thing tonight. You're going to win a national championship. But you don't have to be everybody else. You don't have to be these guys and those guys. You don't have to do what they do. You need to be you. Bring your talents, bring your gifts, bring your strengths, and then when your team comes together, you guys are going to be so good and so gifted. And so about 5 minutes after talking with Don, I feel this peace come over me, and I go get ready for the game. But to be completely honest, I was like 90% sold on the whole thing, because I was like, yeah, Don, I know I got to be myself. But I was like, but this is a national championship game. Like, I still felt this urge to want to be something more, you know, and do it. And so we get to the game. We come in, and it was truly amazing. You see the ESPN signs on the walls. You come in, you see a 17,000 seat arena, and the place is completely packed. You got Boston University's fans in one corner. You got Miami University's fans in the other. You got the bands playing against each other, and it was just this electric feeling. One of the funnest games I ever got to play in my life in hockey. And so we're warming up. We're getting ready for the game, and I'm still thinking about this. You know, be yourself, but feeling this pressure. pressure for the national title game, and I get on the bench. The puck's just about to drop to start the game, and I look up at this big HD screen, and there's this huge picture of Boston University's logo up on the screen. And just imagine this massive HD screen with this huge logo. And if you look up their logo is a picture of a dog, a terrier, because of the Boston University Terriers. But it's this picture of a dog's face, and then there's these two huge letters, BU. And in that moment, I felt like God just whispered to my soul and just said, Gary, be you. And that night, it hit me, and I just rested in that, and I went out and I did everything I could to be me. I played the way that I play. I didn't try to be somebody else. I was myself, and I got to just live one of the funnest, most exciting games I've ever played in my whole career. I actually got to score in the game, which is a huge memory, and it was a true joy to be a part of that. But that was a huge turning point in my life, and I look back to that and I think about that in such big ways, because I think we, as followers of Christ, we have all this time, we feel this pressure to want to be somebody else. We feel this pressure to want to be the popular kid, or to want to be accepted by our coach or our teacher or our parents or our friends, and we'll compromise on who we are or the things that we love to do or are passionate to do for the sake of trying to wear a mask and be accepted or pleasing to others. And so in essence, we try to be somebody else so that we can be accepted by other people. And I lived so much of my life trying to do that. And so what I want to encourage you with today is I want you to be you. I want you to be you. You see, in Psalm 139, in verses 13 and 14, let me turn here real quick as I lost my place. Psalm 139, here's what the Lord says, which is so powerful, and this has ministered to me so much in my life. He says this, he says, "For you formed my inward parts. You wove me together in my mother's womb. I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret. I was skillfully wrought in the depths of the earth. Your eyes have seen my unformed substance, and in your book were all written the days that were ordained for me, before there was yet one of them." That is so powerful and exciting. God formed our inward parts. He knit us together in our mother's womb. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. I've seen you this year in the gifts and the talents and the abilities that you have. You are truly inspiring. And as young men and women of God, God is going to use you to do extraordinary things. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And you may feel this pressure in your life to want to be somebody else, to want to be the popular kid or be accepted by certain crowds. When you get to college one day, you might feel that pressure to want to be accepted by certain people. When you're in high school one day, you might feel that pressure to want to do some things or be somebody that you're not, right? And I want to tell you today you need to be you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are so deeply loved by God, and you are intimately created by Him for a purpose far beyond yourself. You see, God didn't create us to live for ourselves, but to live for Him who died and rose again on our behalf. And when we use our gifts, when we use our talents and our abilities that God has given us, we glorify His name, and we get to impact lives for eternity. Some of you might be gifted with art. Some of you might be gifted with songwriting. Some of you might be gifted to be able to come alongside people that are truly hurting, and you just sit with them, and you have this knack and this ability to comfort them in their affliction. Use your gifts. Some of you are leaders, and you have this ability to cast vision and assemble teams and inspire people towards a goal. Use your gifts. Some of you are so gifted with discernment, and you can just tell when something's right or wrong, or somebody's being genuine or fake, use your gifts. Some of you have this ability to build things out of nothing. You see a dream and a vision of something in the future, and you can just make it happen. And I want to encourage you today, use your gifts, right? The list is so long, and if you want to do more extensive search, use the book, the Epic Journey book that I wrote recently, and it'll list out some more things that you can look through, and you can look at your gifts, or maybe take a spiritual gifts test online. But I want to encourage you today that you are not made by mistake. God made you on purpose, for a purpose, intricately and wonderfully and fearfully made. And so you can rest assured that this is who God made you to be. You are loved. Now, we do have sin, and we need to turn from that sin, and we need to turn to a living God. But in terms of our personality, and in terms of who God's made us to be, in terms of our passions and our hobbies, in terms of the hair color we have, and the eye color we have, and the body shape that we have, and just the things that we enjoy doing, like, this is who God made us to be. And so I want to inspire you, be you. Use your gifts, use your talents, because you have an opportunity to make an eternal impact, and you were not made without purpose. God made you on purpose. That's the first thing, be you. Second thing that I want to encourage you with is, I want to just encourage you so from my heart, is spend time with Jesus. Plug into the power source. Plug into the power source. Jesus is our power source. And when we plug into him, when we connect to him, he empowers us to live this life. He empowers us to live this life of victory over sin, to live this life in freedom, following him, bearing fruit, and glorifying our Father. You can't live this life in your own power, in your own strength. And I've learned this in my life through some ups and downs and some hard times. I've gone through situations where I have not wanted to open up to people and tell them what I was going through, just because I didn't want to be a burden to them. And as I tried to do it on my own and do it longer and longer, I just became exhausted, and I became frustrated, and I found myself burned out and emotionally drained. There are times where I tried to bear fruit in my life. I saw weaknesses in my life. I saw just struggles or things that I was having. I wanted to be more patient or more loving or more kind, or I would get emotionally frustrated with somebody in my life, and I would just be like, you know what, Lord, like, I'm wrong, forgive me. And then I would get right back to it, trying to not be prideful, or trying to not be angry, or trying to be more patient. And the more I tried, the more exhausted I got. And so what I learned through this time is that I gotta connect to the power source. I gotta connect to Jesus. And as Christians, so often we can try to do this life on our own. We can see the areas that we need to grow in, or the weaknesses that we have, and then we can just try to buck up, and we can try harder, and we can try to make it happen, because we want to show God that we care, and we want to show God that we want to do what's right, and we want to love on people. But the problem is that we try to do it from the wrong power source. And so the second thing I really want to encourage you with today, after being you, is that I just want you to live your life connecting to the power source, Jesus Christ. Spend time with Jesus. The scriptures call this abiding. So in John chapter 15, if you want to turn there, John chapter 15 in verse 1, Jesus says this. He says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. He says, you are clean because of the word that I've spoken to you. But he says this, he says, abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, will bear much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Apart from me, you can do nothing, Jesus said. And so we have to connect into the power source. And so this is just time with Jesus every day. It's a non-negotiable, friends. And this has been something that has been so ministered to me. I used to wake up in some mornings and I would fight to spend time with God, but some days I would be like, I want to get started on my day, or I got a lot to do today. I think I'll do that later. And then the day goes by and I don't end up spending time with Jesus. And over the last year, I have just felt like God has ministered to my soul so deeply about this non-negotiable spending time with Jesus, connecting to the power source. And it has literally changed my life. It's changing my life because now I'm connecting with the Lord. I'm pouring out my anxieties. I'm pouring out my heart. I'm journaling. I'm trying to seek the face of God all the time. I want to learn more about Him. I want to connect more with Him. And as I do this, and as I share these things that I'm going through in my life, and I'm journaling through His Word, and I'm communicating with Him on it, and I'm journaling about my anxieties and my fears, and I'm talking with Him about it, and I'm just spending time with Jesus. God's heart is starting to fill my heart, and the more it does, like the love and the joy and the peace, it's just like oozing out of me in different circumstances, not because I'm forcing it or trying to make it happen. It's just coming out of me because I'm spending time with Jesus, and His heart is starting to fill mine. And the gratitude that I have for Jesus is filling me, and it's just outpouring in love and wanting to pour out in generosity and wanting to pour out in just being patient. And so I'm learning in my life that how valuable it is to spend time with Jesus, right? It's not just something that we do to check a box off a list. We spend time with the Creator of the universe because He's the most amazing being in the world, and He saved our lives, and we get to spend time with Him every day. And He will minister to our hearts, and He'll empower us, and He'll give us wisdom, and He'll give us guidance, and He'll give us courage, and He'll help us through all the things that we struggle through the sins and through the fears and through the doubts, and He'll empower us. And so spend time with Jesus, friends. Abide in Christ. Plug into the power source. I can't encourage you enough to do it. So these are the two biggest things that I really want to leave you with on my final day getting to share with you on this Sunday is be you. Use your gifts. Learn what they are and then use them and make an eternal impact, because God created you to do extraordinary things. God does extraordinary things through ordinary people who are fully sold out to Him. Use your gifts. Second thing is plug into the power source. Abide in Christ. Spend time with Jesus. If you can make that a habit in your life, God will empower you to do extraordinary things, and He'll bear fruit in your life, and you'll be so close to the living God. You'll feel His love in ways you've never felt, and then you'll be able to express the love that He has, His heart working through your life to people around you. That's going to make an eternal impact. So this is my heart for you. I want you to be you, and I want you to spend time with Jesus with everything in you. And the last thing that I want to share is just my favorite verse in the entire Bible. My favorite verse in the entire Bible is 2 Chronicles 16:9. Here's what it says. It says, "The eyes of the Lord search to and fro throughout the entire earth, that He may show Himself strong to those whose heart is completely His." I'll read it again. "The eyes of the Lord search to and fro throughout the whole earth, that He may show Himself strong to those whose heart is completely His." Friends, I pray that every single one of us, our hearts would be completely His, and that God would show Himself so strong to you that you would literally be used to do immeasurably more extraordinary, impactful, influential things than you ever could have imagined. You're all going to be incredible, incredible servants of Christ. You already are, but you're going to be even greater as you grow in Christ. You're going to be incredible fathers and husbands and wives and mothers one day. And I just pray so many blessings over you. I love you all dearly, and I believe in you all truly. I pray that you would have this full, complete, wholly devoted heart towards God, and may God show Himself so strong to you. Remember, be you. and abide in Christ. Plug into the power source. I love you.